Have you ever been there? You finish a painting, you step back, and you just think, why does this still look so flat? Well, today, we're going to unlock the one skill that can totally transform your work from flat shapes into amazing dimensional masterpieces. And it all comes down to mastering one single, powerful concept.
You know, it's probably the most common frustration for artists, especially when you're just getting your feet wet with something like oil painting. You feel like you got your colors right, the composition seems okay, but the final piece, it just lacks that pop, that feeling of real depth. Sometimes it can even end up looking kind of cartoonish.
Well, the answer, the secret weapon we're talking about today, is all about understanding and controlling your edges. Seriously, mastering the difference between hard and soft edges is the absolute key to creating that illusion of three-dimensional form on a totally flat canvas.
So here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to break it all down. We'll start with the big secret, then compare hard and soft edges, show you exactly how to turn an object to make it look round, talk about where to use each type, see how they fit into your whole composition, and then we'll finish up with a super simple study you can do today.
Okay, so let's dive right in with the foundation. To really get the magic of creating depth, we first have to be crystal clear on what hard edges are. They might seem basic, but knowing what they do is absolutely crucial.
A hard edge is, well, exactly what it sounds like. It's a sharp, clean line where one shape stops and another one begins. There's no question about it. It's a high-contrast boundary. Think of it like a cliff, not a gentle slope. So when do you use them? Well, the most obvious place is the silhouette, that line separating an object from whatever's behind it. Think about the outline of an egg on a table. But they're also amazing for creating a focal point, because our eyes are just naturally drawn to sharp detail. And of course, you need them for anything with a sharp corner. They're all about creating structure and clarity.
Okay, so if hard edges are kind of like the skeleton of your painting, then soft edges, well, that's what gives it flesh and makes it feel real. This, right here, is where the true magic begins.
A soft edge is the total opposite of a hard one. It's a blended, gradual transition where it's kind of hard to tell exactly where one color ends and the next one starts. It's that gentle slope, that beautiful smooth fade.
And this is why they are so important. This quote really nails it. Soft edges are how we, as artists, show light behaving the way it does in the real world on a curved surface. They are basically the engine of realism in your painting.
So let's put them side by side. Hard edges define a shape by creating separation, but soft edges, they create the form by showing connection and flow. If you want to paint something that feels real, you absolutely need both of them working together. All right, let's get into one of the coolest and most powerful things you can do with soft edges, taking a flat circle and making it actually look like a sphere. This is what artists call turning the form.
It's really a pretty simple three-part process. First, you've got your light source. Second, on a curved surface, that light doesn't just hit a wall and stop, it gradually, gently fades into shadow. That transition is your soft edge. And third, that beautiful gradual blending is what tricks our eyes into seeing a three-dimensional object. And hey, as an oil painter, you have a huge advantage here because that slow-drying paint is perfect for creating these beautiful, seamless blends.
Okay, so we get what they are, but the big question is, where do you put them? Luckily, there's a really simple rule of thumb that'll get you started, and it's a total game changer.
And that brings us to this fantastic little rule. Think hard edges on the outside, soft edges on the inside. Your external edges, the silhouette of the object, are usually going to be hard to separate it from the background. But the internal edges, all those transitions of light and shadow across the surface of the object, those are almost always going to be soft to show that it has volume.
But get this, edges aren't just about realism. They're also one of your most powerful tools for composition. This is how you really take control of your painting and guide your viewer's eye exactly where you want it to go.
You know, our eyes are naturally pulled towards areas with high contrast, which basically means hard edges are like magnets for our attention. So, use your sharpest, hardest edges right at your focal point. To create a feeling of depth, keep your foreground edges harder and then let the background edges get softer and softer. You can even set a mood with them. Lots of soft edges can feel really dreamy, while lots of hard edges feel more graphic and energetic.
And here's a little secret that might actually surprise you. In most really masterful paintings, the vast majority of the edges are actually soft. Hard edges are used sparingly, kind of like a spice, just to add that little bit of focus and impact right where it's needed most. It's that balance that creates a believable and really compelling painting.
Okay, theory is one thing,
But the real learning happens with a brush in your hand, right? So let's wrap this up with some simple, actionable ways you can start practicing and really mastering this skill right now.
So before we jump into the exercises, let's just quickly lock in these key ideas. Remember this: hard edges define shapes. Soft edges create form. It's those soft edges that turn an object and make it feel 3D. And mastering that balance between the two, that's your true key to making powerful paintings.
All right, here are 3 super simple exercises you can do. The classic egg study is perfect. It's got that clear, hard silhouette and those beautiful, soft shadows on its surface. Or just walk around your home with a sketchbook and go on an edge scavenger hunt. And finally, just practice shading spheres. This is an awesome chance to work on your blending, maybe even use a soft, dry brush to gently feather that transition from light to shadow until it's just seamless.
And hey, one last thing. Be patient with yourself. Seriously, training your eye to see all these subtle differences and training your hand to actually create them, it takes time. It's a skill you build up with every single brushstroke. So don't aim for perfection right away, just aim for practice.
You see, once you start making these conscious choices about your edges, you're not just copying something anymore. You're telling a story. You're creating a mood. You're guiding a journey for the person looking at your art. So the real question is, what story are your edges going to tell?